Wouldn't it be amazing if you had a simple strategy you could use to promote and market your book in pretty much any niche and for pretty much any book, and it would work reliably pretty much every time? That's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. What's up, guys? My name's Dave Jacobson, best-selling author and book publisher. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the exact strategy that I used to sell over $4,000 worth of books in 1 month following the release of one of my books. Make sure you stick around to the end if you're interested in that kind of thing, because I'm going to reveal the secret sauce. It's going to help you grow your audience and take it to the next level. So let's jump right in. I'm going to shrink my melon-sized head here. And this is a website that I built, but we're not there yet. So I'm going to have to click over to this website. I'll talk about that website in just a minute. But first, I just wanted to show you, this is my KDP account. I chose a custom date range from December 1st to December 31st. So that's 1 month. And I've only selected one book here, as you can see. And my royalties for that 1 month for this one book were over $4,000. So this was 1 month after I launched this specific book. So the question is, how can you apply the same strategy that I used to succeed here in the launch of your next book? And that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So in order to do that, I want to share with you a Word document that suddenly disappeared. Let's see, did it come back? Okay, great. So this is the Word document, and I'm going to scroll up to the top. So this is a template that I created, and it's basically a 3-step marketing strategy that any author can use for any book in any niche to help them do exactly what I did. And this is the same strategy that I used to sell a lot of different books in a lot of different niches under a lot of different pen names. So I want to let you know that this is available for free. You can download this exact template. I've created it, and I'll put a link in the description. If you click on that link to sign up for my email list, I will send you this for absolutely free. So you can have it to use it as a template in guiding your next book launch. So that said, let's jump into it. So as I mentioned, this is a 3-step process, right? So step 1 of this strategy is to define your target audience. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means exactly in a minute. Step 2 is to determine the best platform and way to reach that specific audience and to set up your author channel on that platform. And step 3 is to put together an offering and market to that target audience using the specific platform you've chosen and using a content marketing strategy to sell your books to that audience using the content marketing strategy approach I'm going to show you and teach you in this video. So that's the high-level overview of the approach. Now we're going to do a deep dive here, and we're going to go into step 1. So step 1, as I mentioned before, is defining your target audience. So why is this important? So every good marketing strategy begins with understanding your audience, right? Whether you're trying to sell toilet paper, cars, or books, in this case, your number one priority needs to be to understand who you're selling to. Otherwise, you can't figure out where they're located and how you can market to them, and you won't know how to speak to that audience, right? If you don't know who the audience even is. So that's step number 1. So as an author trying to sell books, you need to ask yourself this question. Who is your book for? Is it for a middle grade audience, for example? Is it for young adults? Is it for older adults? What are their interests and reading habits? Knowing your audience helps you target your marketing efforts and helps you to determine what platforms you'll need to use in order to reach that specific audience in step 2. So the first step here is to write down somewhere on a piece of paper, or you can use this template. Feel free to download it. I'll put the link in the description to the email list you can sign up for to get it. And to start filling out this information to define your target audience, right? So we're going to do it together. And I've already sort of pre-populated this using a specific book. So this is the book right here, okay? And we're going to use this book as an example. I'm going to blow up my head again so you can see exactly the book I'm talking about. So this book is called The Hatter's Hat, and it's a book that I've written. It's basically a prequel to the Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and you can see that it's written in the style of Lewis Carroll. And essentially, you know, it parrots his voice and the way that he speaks. It's, you know, if you're interested in that kind of thing, if you love Alice in Wonderland, definitely check out this book on Amazon. It has pretty good reviews, so I think you might enjoy it. But basically, this is a middle grade fantasy, right, about characters from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and some new characters as well. And I also want to point out that there's a treasure hunt involved. So somewhere in this book, there are clues and hints that will help you find a real world treasure that's somewhere out there in the United States. Okay, so now we know all the information. You know all the information we need to know in order to start filling out this template. So I'm going to shrink my head again, and we're going to dive right back into this template here. Again, we're on step 1. And so you're going to fill out the template. You know, I've already done it for you, but assuming you haven't, you just say book title is The Hatter's Hat, right? And then the next step, you're going to talk about what are some topics, themes related to your book. So you'll say, I've already told you there's a treasure hunt involved. So one of the topics related to your book is treasure hunting, Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll, and so on and so forth, right? Now, the more detail you put into this, the more it's going to help you later on when you're putting together your content marketing strategy, as we'll see. But for now, that should be enough. And the next step is you're going to define the demographics of your target audience. So, you know, what's the basic information of this type of person? Now, because my book is a middle grade fantasy, we're going to be targeting ages 8 through 12, which by definition, that's what middle grade means. There's also going to be a secondary audience for this particular book because there's a treasure hunt. And so there might be people, you know, there's plenty of adults who are involved in the treasure hunt. And so they'll enjoy the book too, right? I always said that like the best children's literature is literature that even adults want to read. And I believe that. And so I strive for that when I write middle grade. But anyway, that's a secondary audience, technically speaking, right? And now we're going to talk about the gender. So because the protagonist of this particular book is female, the gender of that protagonist is female, we're going to say that the target audience is probably going to be female leaning, but males may also be interested because males can certainly be interested in Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll, and also specifically in treasure hunts, right? Then we're going to fill out our location. So the treasure is located somewhere in the United States, so we definitely want to target readers in the United States because they're probably going to be more likely to be interested in that treasure hunt, right? Next, we're going to talk about the language. Now, this book is written in English, so we definitely want to target English-speaking readers. So I've put English as the language here. And then we've got our demographics figured out for our target audience. So now we want to fill out the section on interests, okay? Now, there are 2 sections here. One is what type of book is this audience interested in? So I've put down like, you know, middle grade fantasy, books about Alice in Wonderland and treasure hunting. And then the second sort of section here asks about what other non-book related interests might my target audience have in common. Now, the key to filling out these sections is you want to relate them to your book, right? So my book is middle grade fantasy, so I know this is probably going to appeal to audiences who are interested in middle grade fantasy. My book is about, you know, it has a treasure hunt involved, so I know that one of the non-book related interests is going to be treasure hunting of my target audience, right? So you're trying to marry an audience that's out there somewhere in the world to the topics related to your book. And that's what you're trying to fill out and complete here, okay? By the way, if I'm going fast, please feel free to pause, rewind, and watch the content as many times as you like. I want to try to keep the video as short as I can. Otherwise, I can go on for this on this topic for hours and hours. So now we've completed step 1, right? We've defined our target audience, and now we're down to step 2. Okay. And step 2, as I mentioned before, is really about defining the platform we want to use to reach the target audience that we identified in step 1. Okay? So we want to choose the best platform to connect with our specific audience. So what is an author platform? I want to define that for you as well. So an author platform is basically your public presence as a writer. It's how people can find you. It's how they can follow you. It's how they can ultimately become fans of your work and learn about your book releases and things like that. An example could be a blog, a website, a social media presence, an email list, or even a YouTube channel like this one. Or it could be someone else's YouTube channel, which I'm going to talk about in the secret sauce if you stick around to the end. So, but the goal here is to create a space where you can engage with your readers and you can develop content, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, that relates to the topic and interests that we've identified. Okay? I'm going to come back to that in a minute. It's very important. So that's what we're doing in this step. Okay? We're in step 2, and we want to identify platforms that are appropriate for our audience. And sorry, I kicked the camera. But we want to be sure to research the demographics for each channel before deciding. So, I happen to know, because I've been in marketing for a while, that, for example, TikTok leans younger, right? And also tends to lean more liberal in terms of political leanings. I know that Facebook tends to lean more towards older demographics, for example. So you want to do the research and really understand that. Once you know who your target audience is, try to find the platform, and you can Google this information to find it out. Find out what platforms are best suited for that specific audience. Okay, so that and then you're gonna in this next space here, you're gonna put down some ideas for platforms that you think could be appropriate for reaching your specific audience. So I put down website, email list, Amazon, TikTok, and YouTube, because I love YouTube. Right, I think it's a great place to reach potential audiences. So now we've defined our audience. And we've also identified some potential platforms where we can reach our audience. And the third step is going to be to actually build out your channel on that platform and start doing some content marketing. And the content marketing needs to be around the topics and interests that you've identified in this template. And let me give you an example so you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Okay? So I'm going to open up this browser window again. And I'm going to go to this website. So this is a website that I built specifically as a platform to reach this, the target audience for this specific book. Now, I already mentioned to you, this is the book that we're talking about in our example. I already told you that this book has a treasure hunt involved, right? So as you can see on this website, it's treasure hunt related, right? So the interest, I'm trying to appeal to an audience that will have an interest in the topic related to this book that I'm trying to sell. So then I obviously talk about the treasure, and I talk about the book, right, that I'm trying to sell, and I let people know where they can find it and purchase it. I do some social proof here. And then I, provide some book reviews, for example. And then at the bottom of this of this website, I have an email list where people can sign up for the email list, and they can get information related to the treasure hunt, right? So that is another platform. Basically, you can use bulk email sending platforms similar to MailChimp or Sender.net, which I highly recommend if you're just getting started, because they have a great free option. Let me show you that real quick as a bonus tip. Here's MailChimp, and you can use this as a platform to send to a mailing list that you're developing on your website. Now, MailChimp can be pretty expensive, $20 a month for just 500 contacts. So for authors just starting out, I think Sender's a great option because they have a free forever plan. and you can use up to 2,500 subscribers and 15,000 emails per month for free, which is awesome. So anyway, that's another platform, right? So you've got a website, and you've got and you can use a blog on your website as well. And you can have this email list, right, attached to your website. So that's an example of building out a platform, and the content marketing piece of this. So the content of this website is related to the topic that I've identified as being interesting to my target audience, namely treasure hunting, right? So that is a real world example. And obviously you can do this on YouTube. You can do this on any platform. You can do it on Instagram. You know, if you're trying to target an audience that's interested in treasure hunting, then the content on the pictures of your Instagram platform might involve treasure hunting. Or if you're publishing a book about knitting, for example, then you might have a website with content related to knitting. Or you might have a YouTube channel about knitting, right? And so what you're doing is you're trying to align the interests of a specific target audience that you've identified with a topic associated with your book. And that's what's going to make it easier for you to sell your book to that audience in the future. Okay? Make sense so far? Great. So now let's get back into the Word document. Now we're on step 3. So we're going to create the content related to our specific niche on the platform that we selected. And I've put here as a tip that you want to make sure the content you create is related to your book in order to build an audience that will be interested in your book. And that's really the key here, right? Bringing this all together. So you need to identify an audience that's going to be interested in topics related to your book. Then you want to find a platform where that audience exists somewhere. And then you want to create a channel that is, and you want to create some content marketing around the topic that you've identified as being interested in by that specific target audience, right? And that's basically what it comes down to. And I have a reminder here, you know, in step 3, you want to start creating content around those interests, and be sure to remember to tell your audience about your book, right? Because that's what this is all about. Because you have built content around interests related to your book, it will be much easier to sell your book to that specific audience. And that is the key of how this works. So thank you very much, guys, for waiting this long. Now you've made it to the end, so I want to follow through with my promise, and I want to give you a bonus tip. Okay? So the bonus tip here, and it's in that guide if you want to download it from the internet by, I'm offering it free. It's in the link in the description. But the tip here is that once you've identified your interest group, right? And let me actually shrink my head again, because this is important. So once you've identified your interest group, right? You've got your demographics, but you also have these interests. So I know that my target audience is going to be interested in these things. What you can do is you can reach out to other influencers who have channels on the same platform or different platforms for that matter, who are creating content around that topic, and you can invite them to do a collaboration or to bring you on for an interview. And that's exactly one of the strategies that I used to help sell my book that, again, sold over 4,000 in the first month after the launch of the book. So what I did was I identified the topic, a number of topics related to my book. And then I reached out to content creators who were interested in that topic. And I knew that their audience, right, was built around that topic. And I said, hey, I'm reaching out because I'm publishing a book on topic X. And I noticed you have an audience who loves topic X. I would love to come on your channel and talk about the book. Or, would you like to do a collaboration together? And so that is the secret sauce, folks, for how you can grow your audience as an author to the next level. It's by finding these overlaps, right, between the topics and content of your book and the topics that interest groups are interested in, and then finding influencers who are talking about that somewhere on any platform and using that as an opportunity to leverage, to create an opportunity to talk about your book and get yourself in front of a much bigger audience. So hopefully you've enjoyed that content, guys. If you found this helpful, I would invite you to please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it. And feel free to download that, or rather join the mailing list, and I'll send you a copy of this template. And I'll see you next time.